and welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I am Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Megan Smolen. And Megan, well, first of all, Megan, thank you for spending some time with me on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, you are welcome. So Megan and I got introduced through one of my former coaches, Chris Williams, and she is a really spunky, fun lady who helps helps business owners build online communities that are actually engaged and can actually produce an ROI for your business, which is honestly a rare thing. So I can't wait to dive into this, Megan, and understand a little bit more of how you help business owners understand this whole world of online communities and things. So as we get there, tell me, Megan, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
That was a great intro, by the way.
Thank
Can you do that for all of my clients? That'd be
you.
great. No. So I got into this like back in college, family-run company where basically I have two older brothers and a sister. There's four of us in total. Two other brothers started a media company, and they started a like men's website that's a fun like photo blog kind of situation. And it was attracting a lot of people to the site. It was attracting a lot of people to view pages on the site, which if you're looking at a media publishing page, you want visits to help with your monetization. It got so well that they asked their sisters, Emily and myself, to run a women's female publishing website. So, and then my background is both informatics, like building websites, programming meets user interface, and then journalism with my cogniz. So it actually like was my background and what I was kind of hoping to dive into.
Yeah.
Fast forward, this website grew so big, and we were attracting millions of people, specifically women, to this site that we built. Over the span of by 8 years, it was attracting 2-3 million per month kind of situation. But that wasn't the community, right? Visits are not your community. Impressions, page views is not a community. How do you build a bigger why and a bigger meaning behind your brand? Those were the first steps as me trying to just kind of figure that out. So building a community behind your brand for this particular one was actually this wonderful, natural, organic thing. These people were wonderful fans of the site and wanted to meet in person. We didn't have an online like Facebook group or platform where you can connect and engage. And we worked with them to kind of build up chapters where throughout not only the nation, but globally, where they could meet offline. And the idea with this is the meetups were all different. It could be wine nights. It could be, everybody's going for a bingo night or whatever. But the why was to raise money for different charities throughout the nation. The why for that was just always so wonderful because people were meeting for a common purpose, even though they're coming to the site to maybe laugh or get, you're not looking at the news for the site. You're looking at something to just kind of either make you laugh or cry or in a good way, but it's all meant to give you fun emotions. But then to emotionally meet offline is also incredible. People were starting to meet online within the comments of the editorial. But to kind of go to that extreme is really cool because that's how you retain your members. You can only be an advocate for your community and your brand in so many ways. It really does take a village to have a community, and you need your advocates and people that are surrounding you to believe in your brand too and have a bigger why with that. So that has brought me to the journey that I'm at now. And fast forward to now 15 years later, publishing, e-commerce, career communities, there's all sorts of different types of community you can bring behind a brand. But the beauty behind that is having a big purpose as to what your community is and why people are showing up and why it's important to them.
That is, there's so much there. Where to go with this? It's interesting. So, do you work with businesses? Do you work with nonprofits? Do you work? I mean, give us the scope
Yeah.
of kind of who do you work
Yeah. I work with businesses. And to be honest, when I started to consult, I wasn't sure who to reach out to. I was reaching out to like info at marketing or whatever to kind of just give them a spiel of, how I can help. And that was actually pretty tough to begin with, because I realized pretty quickly that the people that needed to know why a community is behind their business is the decision makers. They're the CEOs, they're the executives that don't quite understand how that works, but want to tap into that, but need an expert that's done it for a while to kind of dive in. And so once I realized who I should reach out to, it all started to kind of like come together, which is great.
It's interesting. So I want to dive in, and this may go a different direction. I don't know, but so you're talking about building a community behind your brand, okay?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want entrepreneurs and business owners to understand this. This all right. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But here's the vision that I'm getting:
Yeah.
is let's say you're an attorney, estate planning attorney, financial advisor. It really doesn't matter what industry you're in a local community.
Hmm.
You're building this community, but that community is about more than finances or estate planning, right? So the idea behind where I'm going is I'm thinking, Nike or shoe companies or Red Bull, things of that nature. They've built a community, a tribe around health, running, fitness, engagement, community, environment, things of that nature that don't necessarily tie back to that specific product because
Right.
they understand their tribe and what their tribe's about, giving them a bigger why. Is that what we're talking about, kind of?
Yes. And just defining what community is. So, community, like if you go to a lot of brands' websites, we are 10 million, we are 10,000, we are, a lot of those numbers are just your email list, or a lot of those numbers are the visits to your site, or, depending on how you want to explain who your community is. But defining community is really, and there's different definitions of it, but as long as you have a common purpose around something, usually it's to better yourself in a way, but that's not always the case. But ideally, those are the ones that I work for, where you want to feel good about it, right? But having a common purpose where you can connect and engage with one another, and you have an outlet to do so. So you can't connect and engage with somebody if you have an email list,
Right.
and you know what I mean? Like those are certain things where you're stopping. So the process of community really starts from like how people find you. It's the whole acquisition funnel. Visits is just the beginning of it. Then you're onboarded, you're converted through registrations. You go through registrations, you have to understand why you're there. Not only is it just to buy Nike shoes, but is it more? And maybe it's keeping them through within different retention funnels about different programs they can be invited to. So it's really a whole kind of onboarding process, but
Mhm.
never ends as far as continuing to retain people. So that reduces churn for businesses.
Yeah, and it comes back to ROI for a business owner. So the other companies I'm thinking of that do I think a fairly good job about this, at least in my world,
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A and Tacos for Life.
Yeah.
Two restaurants, right?
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A, I mean, their app and their stuff, but they keep you engaged with different things that are going on, community involvement. Tacos for Life is a taco shop here in town, right? They're a chain, but is every meal you buy, they donate a meal to another child around the world someplace. And it's so then they also have events, community events that we can go to. They have food rallies that we can go to and pack. And so it's a way to say it's about more than buying a taco. It's about a bigger purpose. And it's
Yeah.
not just me going and spending money there to feed my family. It's me with my family getting involved in this event because that's a bigger purpose. Is am I catching it? Is that kind of what
Yeah.
we're looking for?
Absolutely. But then you've got to figure out like what value does that bring to your, so you're at the why, but then there's the what, right? And what value will that bring your community? And again, most of the people that most of the clients that are their businesses that I chat with, they do have some sort of visits, emails, like people kind of coming to them already, in a sense, but not knowing and just kind of guessing what that community should be, what that is. It's like, you know what, I have this feeling. I think this should be the community and here's why, isn't the best way to go about it. I would recommend getting qualitative and quantitative data. So you've got people, you probably have email lists, and asking your community, your almost community, what they'd like for a community to be. Um, Even just with a survey is so it will change your dynamic and your game of what your focus is to get more people involved. So asking in very thoughtful ways, short survey, but in a way where we'd love to hear your feedback, you'll quickly know which way to go and see if that aligns with your brand and if that aligns with the ROI of your business. So and then the other part is obviously competitive analysis is always important, just to know, does this, community exist? Are other people just doing the same thing? How do you stand out? So there's different things to help you kind of go with what your community is after you figure out your why a little bit more. And then going from there to listen to people to help guide you, because that's also the beginning of the foundations of community. Some people may not want an online platform. Some people want to like meet offline in cohorts that are at specific locations in your town. So like if that is where that goes, then it should probably maybe go there
Yeah.
if you can invest in it. You know what I mean? And then it's deciding like, does this make sense for the business? So then what value would it bring would be the next one. And
Mhm.
so there's so many different examples of that. Like value can bring membership signups. If you're a subscription-based company, that brings value back to you probably very quickly when you're signing up. Obviously, you want to retain them with retention programs, and we can get to that after. Increased customer retention is one, brand awareness, account expansion, reduced customer support, crowdsource innovation. Like there's so many things that can bring value back into your brand, but it also has to align with your overall business goals of what you'd like to get. Because you won't be able to like change your community to adapt, but working with something that builds your community up that can help level the retention and less churn for you is huge. So
Yeah, that's good. And less churn. I want you to hear that phrase, less churn, because one of the um, banes of my existence, one of my pet peeves is, Megan, I need more leads. It's like,
yeah,
no, you don't. You need to work better with the leads you got. And
yeah.
I love how you're saying it's not just an email list, because that's so one way, one directional. And I remember, so what you're talking about is in my head, it's going from transactional to relational with a community. It's a two-way interaction. And I don't know why, but this song popped in my head. It's from Bob Seger. And I don't even know the name of the song, but he has a phrase in there that says, I'm not a number. I'm not a number. I'm a man, right? And that's how we need to think about our audiences. They're not numbers, they're not names, they're not email addresses, they're people. And people have higher and bigger purposes and desires. A lot of times they don't know how to fulfill those. And
Mhm.
if you have an opportunity to create this community where some of those people are going to come. And I love what you said about brand awareness, because in marketing, when your brand is when people are aware of your brand,
Mhm.
they don't go to Google and type in heating and air conditioning system, Chicago, Illinois. They type in, Smith Heating and Air, because I've
Mhm.
been part of this community. And do you know what that cost per click is? Yeah, it's really low, because they're typing in your name, because they know your brand, because of the community you've built. Talk about ROI. It
Mhm.
just compounds. Is that a fair
Yeah.
summary?
Yeah, absolutely. And and the way that you're attracting people is different. Like, it could be through LinkedIn, it could be through publishing content, it could be a lot or a little depending on, what your brand is already, but it doesn't matter for some companies if you're just kind of churning through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Sometimes you don't always necessarily need a community behind your business either.
right.
And that's one thing to figure out. And that helps with the what kind of process of like, what should this community be? And like, do people want this?
Yeah.
And you'll get that before you start, which is smart versus starting it and then realizing you wasted your time.
Right, exactly. Well, let's talk really quick about your 5-step process, because this sounds overwhelming to some people, I'm sure. And you've kind of simplified it a bit. You got this little process, and then we'll talk about how they get help. But talk at a high level your 5-step process of creating this community, or getting your toes wet in this whole world.
Yeah, so there's this 5-step process, and this is not like, I don't mean it in a way where it's like this is 5 steps and it will work for you. It's a it's a lot of work, and it
Yeah.
worked, and it's not just this is how
Yeah.
it
It's not a
will
magic
be.
pill.
Um, but one is like setting your vision and your goals and establishing alignment between your business. So there's different phases when you're consulting with businesses. Is, the discovery and strategy phase is a big one, because you're really learning what is the business already, if there is one, if you haven't created it,
Yeah.
and what are their goals and objectives, and how does that even work with what type of community could be built, right?
Mhm.
And then from there, you have there's the strategy that kind of aligns with a phase where you're kind of looking at different platforms, if it is an online community, that help create this community for you. And that requires a lot of planning. So step 2 is planning. So you're customizing growth and engagement strategies. What is your tool selection? What is your platform that you choose? And what's so awesome is that there's so many different community platforms right now, that it's not your typical like Facebook or Instagram social media site where you really hope your algorithm is like,
Right.
the reach works for you. It's not a trial and error thing. You're able to kind of log into certain platforms. Could be a white labeled app. It could be where it looks exactly like it's just you, but it's through a third party, where people go to sign up and log in. And there's so many different types of features, how you can interact with people. Maybe somebody just wants a mentorship program or coursing programs where they are just teaching. Like, there's so many awesome platforms. Those platforms all have different costs, and the size and price and what you want out of those platforms really has to do with those phases, which is like the discovery and strategy. So planning is a really big one. And then creating that strategy and working with teams internally. So strategically advising with the teams on, what resources do we have now? Is there a budget to work with to expand? If not, what can you do right now to, really create a community that aligns with, that qualitative and quantitative data that we were talking about, which is the research aspect of like the type of community that you want, right?
Right.
Launching is number 4. And so, that's the project management, launch and execution, where you're defining your benchmarks. This is like, you want to set goals before, but you also will then know, launch that, what your goals could possibly be.
Yeah.
Launch, when you hear launch, it sounds like this really, really big, awesome thing. Launch day.
Yeah.
It's usually pretty sad. And like, setting expectations of what launch is this is actually just the beginning, right? So you've
Yes.
got your discovery strategy, you've got your vendor selection planning, and then maybe beta testing. So there's a lot within these
Yeah.
plans that you go through to get to the launch,
Yeah.
and then launch happens and what to do from there. Beta testing it is really, really great as far as before the launch, because you really want to like know if there's any bugs, any kinks or whatever before it happens. And then with those benchmarks, which was the step 4, the launch, having those goals to align with how you think you'll get over time, whether it's within the year or, 5-year plan. And that's when I, provide ongoing advice on, what to do, what to tweak, pivot, ongoing enhancements based off of the resources. If the company is doing well because of the community, you have more resources and maybe you can hire more if that's your strategy. And that seems to happen quite a bit, which is exciting. And so helping with like operational support and what's needed to continue the expansion of the community is that step 5. So sorry, this is a roundabout way. I know I threw in phases between each one, but it really is a number of different phases within
Yeah.
the steps that you've got to think about to really do it kind of properly.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. That's good, because so many times people think it's a quick, fast, easy. Oh, I can do this. I can buy this, and we're done. And to do it well, you need some time to think through it. You need a process like this. You need somebody like Megan to guide you through it and to really ask questions that you're not even thinking about right now because of
Yeah.
her vast experience. To go, okay, how do we engage it? And I love what you said earlier. Is it's a lot about what the goals and objectives are of the community. And those
Yeah.
may be different than me as a business owner, maybe we can match those, maybe we can't. This is a great idea, but it might not be for me, but it might be the coolest thing around because of how it impacts my brand in the mind of my community and their influence in others' lives.
Yeah. And using that through, well put, Michael. Thanks. Just you should just hop into some of my calls. That'd be great. You want to? That'd be great. But no, yeah, and I do want to emphasize that, you have your research before with the researching before to figure out what your community is, but if you have a data and analytics kind of tool, whether it's like Google Analytics or if you use one of the community platforms to grow your community, basing your decisions on data is so, so helpful. Feedback is great, obviously, but when you see data, that's when you can really do your benchmarks of like, how can we expand this more? And it's a lot of testing. Sometimes it's like throwing paint at a wall and it doesn't stick, but that's the beauty of a startup, even if it's not a startup, but the community itself is probably an improved startup of what it started with.
Right. Exactly. And so much can happen when you have the community built properly and you realize this is a part of your company.
Yeah.
This is the heartbeat. This is the ground force in a
Yeah.
sense that goes out the guerrilla marketing because they get buy-in and you become one of them. And when you become family to somebody and you own them, I mean, we are a Mac family. Okay. That's all we've used for years. I can pretty much assure you we are going to be a Mac family until I die.
Yeah.
Okay. We are Mac people.
Yeah.
I believe once you Mac, you never go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, so I am in, they have inculcated me, indoctrinated me. I don't know what they've done. I just love Mac. And I will tell lots of people about Mac. So they have built this community
Yeah.
really without, maybe they've done it on purpose. I
Great
don't know.
referral. Yeah.
But we can do that as business owners and entrepreneurs as well when we understand how to do it. And I love what you just said. This is not an overnight thing. This is like a great marketing campaign. It needs thought and research and backing and a timeline that's not 6 weeks. This
Yeah.
is a long-term part of your marketing and business growth strategy. And can you do it yourself? Yeah, probably. Can you do it better with Megan and her help? Oh, without question. And that's why I bring people like Megan on my podcast to let you know that she exists. She's amazing in what she does because she's been doing it for so long. And you can tell she's just a fun person to be with. So, how do people, Megan, take that next step to find out more about you and different things and go, okay, what would be the next step? Is it a phone call or a Zoom call? How does all that work at the very beginning? And then where do they go to get that?
Yeah, yeah. So on my website, Rise Community Consulting or Megan Smolen, LinkedIn, you can reach out to me anytime. But there's a contact page where you can set up a discovery call. It's totally free and meant to just kind of, I basically ask a lot of questions about the business and what you're hoping to find. And I'll be totally transparent if it's something that I think that I could help with. Most of those discovery calls are a lot of free discovery calls to begin with, because you've got to unpack more than a 30-minute conversation to figure out what their needs are, what their business is about, what resources they have already, if at all, to help really advise on the process, how long it would take possibly to give a estimation. So I do multiple discovery calls where it's just chatting about the business, what's working, what's not, which generally aligns back to community in some way, that then I can help create a plan with or without me, as far as, I always give feedback, what I'm seeing. A lot of it is like, I cannot sign up to a lot of pages. Like there's certain simple things where I will tell you immediately if it's just like, you lost me. So I'm very upfront with those within the discovery call anyways, because I just want to share the knowledge that I have. So yeah, and then from there we talk about, the needs, the budget, and if this is something that makes sense for them to pursue, and we go from there. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
There's a contact page where you just fill out a tiny little thing and you fill out a Calendly invite. And that's how you can find me.
I love it. Rise Community Consulting. I'm going to grab that, put that in the show notes as well. And she's got this big old button that says, let's connect. And I'm sure if you click that button, it'll help you, because she's made it super simple, not only to get in touch with her to have that free discovery call, but to really help you understand the value of creating a community that's actually engaged with you, so that you can create raving fans like Apple has with me, and Tacos for Life, and Chick-fil-A, and all these companies that are part of my life, and they are my default providers when I need their services, right? And
Yeah.
that's really, as business owners, where we want to be. I want to own your heart. I want to be the first one you think of and the one you feel the best about when you're ready. And I
Yeah.
want you to be my advocate to tell all of your friends, neighbors, relatives, business associates about me, because you love me so much. I tell everybody, do you know the last time, Megan, I told somebody to buy a PC? I don't know
Never.
this ever happened. I will tell you to buy a Mac all day, every day, right?
Yeah.
That's what we are looking
I'm a
for.
big Mac fan too. I get it. Apple's great.
That's what we're looking for as business owners, are those raving fans. Megan can help you create that kind of a community for your business. So let me just encourage you, reach out to her. It's risecommunityconsulting.com. It'll be in the show notes. Reach out, have that discovery call. Let Megan look into your business, see where you are, see how she can help you lay out a way to really build a better community for your brand. Megan, this has been so much fun. Thank
Oh,
you.
likewise. Thank you for having me, Michael. This was awesome. I'm so glad we were introduced, and I just had fun. So I appreciate your time.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate what you do to help business owners build community and help other people. So thanks for being my guest today. Thanks for listening to Experts Speak. Tune in again next week for another great interview. Take care. God bless.
Yay.